Hello and welcome to the Leaders Bar. I'm Drew Larson, the founder and president of Leaders Beverage. In today's short video, we're going to show you the Matic Flow Control Euro Easy Pour Faucet, one of our absolute favorite faucets, and we're going to show you how to take it apart, clean it, put it back together, and then we're also going to talk a little bit about what makes this such an amazing faucet. So please hold on to your hats, get your protective gloves and eyewear, and let's get to it. So you'll notice I'm wearing our purple gloves here because I'm assuming that if you're cleaning this faucet that you're using some sort of cleaning chemical, and safety always comes first, obviously, so you'll want to have protective wear on your hands and protective wear on your eyes. So in order to take apart the Flow Control Euro style Easy Flow Micromatic, what we're going to need is a screwdriver and a spanner wrench, and if you want, an Allen wrench, and I'll show you that as we go. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the handle adjustment nut. And the reason that's called a handle adjustment nut is because you can move this piece up and down, and then when you put your tap marker on, or the handle, you can have it facing in the direction you want, and then you spin this up to it, and that'll hold it in place. So we're going to go ahead and take that part off. And the next thing we're going to remove then is the fork connector screw. And so for that, you're just going to give this a little loosening with the screwdriver, and you'll be able to just go ahead and spin that right off. And then you have the fork stabilizer, which is this piece right there holding the two forks together. So we'll go ahead and remove that, and now you have that fork that's going to come off just like this. One piece and two piece. Now the big piece here is going to be the center valve assembly. And you'll see there's a center valve assembly in there, and what I'll typically do is I'll take the screw and I'll put it on there, and that gives me a little bit of leverage to then push down, and you see that's in there pretty tight. Now this piece here, that comes out, and you'll see it rotates inside the faucet to allow the beer or wine to flow. And then you have these nice little seals here. So in cleaning this, you're going to want to check that these seals are lubricated and they're not broken or cracked in any way. We're going to clean that up. We're going to clean the rest up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put it back together, and then I'm going to show you the flow control portion separately. So we're going to go ahead and put the center valve assembly back in, and you want one of these flat side pieces to be facing toward the spout. So we're going to push that right back in. We're going to put the fork assembly on as we rotate that up a little bit more. Let's move this one more time. And this is how easy it is. If you don't get that centered just right off the bat, we can go ahead and just do it right again like that. So there we go. Now the fork assembly pieces will go right back on just like this. And we have the fork stabilizer. It's going to go back on. Put the screw in. And we'll give it a little bit of a tighten. And then we're going to put the handle adjustment nut back on. Now, what makes this faucet so amazing is the fact that you can literally change the flow of the beer. And I'll talk a little bit when we're done about why that's so important and how that helps. But to take this apart, you're going to need a spanner wrench, and this is exactly how you would have taken this off the shank in the first place. But this first one, closest to the beer tower, is how you release this entire piece right here. And this is one assembly. Notice there's a seal on there, a little black seal. Sometimes when you see this faucet leaking, it's actually this seal right there. And that's an important one to take a look at, make sure it's lubricated and in good shape. And this is it. These pieces stay together, and now you can clean around the cone, which is what moves in and out to allow the beer to change flows. Now we can put this back on, tighten it back up with your hex wrench or your spanner, and this now is how you adjust the flow of beer. So during pouring, you can actually rotate this to change how fast the beer pours. Now, if you are the beverage manager, proprietor, anything else, and you want the flow set in a specific way, there is a little hex nut on the bottom. It's going to be hard to see in this video, but you'll just have to trust that it's there. With a hex wrench, you can actually tighten this piece and it won't go anywhere. So that is the faucet, and let's talk just for a moment about what makes these faucets so versatile for helping with foam and things of that nature. Now that we've discussed how to take apart the flow control faucet, clean it and put it back together, let's talk just a little bit about what makes this an amazing faucet. You know, this is a clock tower, for example, and we build out the interior of all of these for artisanal imports and send them out around the country. And what we use on this particular tower and the triple Carmelite is the flow control. And so by being able to adjust this flow right here, what happens is your system was built for a particular pressure, let's say 24 pounds. And if you have a really high carbonation product, you know, a normal beer is around 2.4 to 2.7 atmospheres or volumes of CO2. Well, if you have a Belgian beer or some of these highly carbonated American lagers and ales, which are absolutely delicious, well, you don't have enough resistance in your system to deal with that high level of carbonation. So what happens is you get a lot of carbonation at the faucet. There's a very simplified explanation of it. If you want to understand more, please just leave a comment below, or the Draft Beer Quality Manual, which is a free resource, explains it in much more detail, and that's great. But here what I want to explain then is you can actually raise the pressure at your keg in the cooler so that you have enough pressure on the keg to keep the carbonation in. Normally that would speed the beer up at the faucet so much that you'd then have breakout carbonation and you'd still have a foamy beer anyways. So with the flow control, we can turn the pressure up on the keg and then at the faucet slow the flow down a little bit so that it'll fill a glass properly. Another thing that this allows you to do is by slowing the flow down, you can get some specialty glassware filled. The Quack glass, for example, I'll just grab one right here. The Quack glass, for example, is a specialty glass, and you can see it's got a ball on the bottom. Well, if you filled this up with a normal faucet, it hits that ball on the bottom so fast that it just foams over. So a faucet that's flow control, we can slow the beer down just a little bit and fill that up nice and clean. So that's one of the reasons we love this faucet. We use it quite a bit, and you can see here at the Leaders Bar, it's on our towers as well. I hope you found this video useful and educational. If you did, please subscribe to our channel. Like us or like the video. If you don't like the video and you give us a thumbs down, please tell us why. Otherwise, leave your comments and questions in the remarks below, and we'll look forward to seeing you at our next video. Keep the good beer flowing. Thanks.